right, welcome back, Red Devil sports fans, to yet another edition of the Speak of the Devils podcast through RDSN here at Dickinson College. Big weekend here this past weekend against McDaniel. We had a doubleheader sweep with for baseball for us against McDaniel, and then a men's lax win as well. So we're going to chat about that, and then a little bit later we're going to have an interview with Brendan Pell, senior second baseman on the baseball team. So, boys, how we doing?
Doing well.
Doing well. Great to be here.
All right, so I guess we can we'll hop into baseball first, and then lacrosse, and then we'll go into the interview with Brendan Pell. So this weekend, I guess I'll just do a little quick recap, and then you guys can hop in. We had a doubleheader against McDaniel. First game we won 8-7, and the second game I think we won like 16-4 or something, like 16-4 or something like that. We put a pretty big whooping on them that second game. But the first game was a good comeback win. Matt Spind got the start, and Ben Stupak ended up getting the W for us. And then the second game, man, it was just we were just hitting the lights out of the ball. So it was a great time, great win. And then we have Hopkins coming up this weekend. So yeah.
I guess my first one, we're brought to you by the Grazery, but correct, two, yes. I feel like the biggest standout for Dickinson this weekend was, there's an expected slow start when you're coming off of just not playing for a year. Like, no one expects you to come out and just be prepared to jump into an MLB game or something like that. No one expects that kind of preparedness, but the ability to, one, clean it up at the end of the game, come back, but also the consistency hitting the ball, having 14 hits in the first game and 17 in the second game. It seems like there's very little lost in that year off, swinging the lumber.
Yeah, I think honestly, it has a lot to do with just the amount of work we've been able to put in the new facility. I mean, we've just been getting so many swings in, and everybody too. It's not just the starters. Everybody has been able to get swings in and stuff. So it's I think every offensive player that played, or every position player that played, had at least one hit this weekend. So that was pretty good. And yeah, I think it's really just a testament to the new facility that we have, that we're able to get in all those reps before the actual season started.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just you guys hit the crap out of the ball this weekend, which is really good to see. It was good to see a variety of guys getting on the field, getting some playing time, and still being able to get those wins, because you obviously early in the season you want to get your young guys some field time, but you also don't want to sacrifice that for wins. So being able to kill two birds with one stone, I think was great. So I thought the pitching, from what I've read, was really good. I mean, obviously want to cut down on the walks here and there, but that has to be expected early in the season. But nonetheless, good strikeout to walk ratio. And obviously at the end of the day, only giving up 4 runs in the second game is great to see. So yeah, I think it's a good start for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. I was definitely most impressed with the freshmen, or the first years this year. They absolutely came in and just played like veterans. They played like they've been there before, especially the pitchers. And one guy that stands out, Christian Kim, went 3 for 4 in the second game with a grand slam. He was absolutely tearing the cover off the ball and played a decent game at first base. Pitchers are transferred. Matt Spind, freshman Ethan Hamilton got the start game 2 and shut it down minus a couple walks. He was fantastic. And then Joey Sanjulo, all the guys that pitched were very good this week.
Awesome. And I think the other thing that can't be understated is how important it is to start out with that early season sweep. I mean, in a conference season that's already short, you're only playing, each opponent once, but 2 games when you're playing them. The season flies by. And in an already even more condensed season, those first 2 games become even more important, and to kind of get that start, especially with the teams like Franklin and Marshall also grabbing 2 games, it's absolutely huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I think it helps out. We have a little bit of momentum going into a pretty big weekend this weekend against Hopkins. I've never beaten Hopkins in my career here, so I've actually only played them once since we didn't have a season last year. So I guess that doesn't really mean anything. But yeah, but we know Hopkins is good. They're going to come out and they have great pitching staff. They have a football team of a roster this year. Unlike us, they have a lot of grad transfers as well. So I think we'll be all right. We have a lot of momentum going in, and we have a full week of practice left, so we're gonna get after it.
Yeah, I have one quick question before we go to lacrosse. Is just
Sure.
like, how are you preparing differently this week versus last week?
This week, pitchers are doing a lot of work, doing like shorter bullpens and stuff, just to make sure that they're under control for this game, because that was one of the big problems for this past weekend was walks. And then we've been doing a lot of defensive stuff this week because we had some errors. Obviously, hitting wasn't too big of an issue, but we're obviously still getting some swings in here and there. Like a day like today where it's raining, we'll probably be in the facility all day just taking hacks. But yeah, the past 2 days, since today's Wednesday, the past 2 days have been pretty heavy defensive work, along with live hitting. So we combined the offensive work and the defensive work, just to get a well-rounded practice in for the past 2 days. So it's been good. We're feeling good about it.
You good for baseball? Go to men's lacrosse?
Yeah, let's move right along to men's lacrosse. They had a big dub this weekend against McDaniel, a team who they've had a lot of success against. I don't know if Sammy has the score pulled up right now, because I don't, because I'm a bad host.
I think it was 12-5.
Yeah, it was 12-5.
12-5. So that's it's a pretty commanding victory. Any standouts for you guys from the game?
Yeah, I would say right off the bat, freshman Sasha Gannon, 2 goals. Skylar Schluter, who was one of their top scorers in their few games they had last year, 2 more goals. Tucker Booth, 3 goals, 3 shots, or 7 shots. And then freshman John McKee, 7 ground balls. So that's definitely something which is huge, which is something to look for. And, they are also a young team. They graduated they're kind of a top heavy team last year. So good to see some of the young guys stepping up as underclassmen and leading that squad.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing for me wasn't necessarily one in particular player. I mean, Dom kind of highlighted more or less all the standouts, but the fact that they outshot McDaniel 47-20 is probably my biggest standout. Anytime you can outshoot your opponent like that, regardless what the score is, you got to be doing something right to get all those opportunities. And it seems like obviously winning 12-5, they really didn't waste a whole lot of those chances. They compounded, they kept it going. And I think the other thing too is, going into halftime, they were only up 6-4. It was kind of a close game up until that point, despite the 4-1 start in the first quarter. So they were composed. Coach had the right things to say, and they closed the game out real well.
Yeah, you can always count on Webby for a good halftime speech, I'm sure. But yeah, it looks like it's been a big weekend for the young guys. I know freshmen and sophomores just all around have been highlighted throughout. I know we highlighted it. I highlighted them in baseball. I'm sure Brendan's going to have a lot to say about the freshmen as well. And then Dom saying a couple standouts this year from the McDaniel game were freshmen and sophomores. So I think that's a huge step in the right direction for both programs and for the athletic program in general, that the young guys can come in and step up and play their roles early. So that's I think that's huge.
Yeah, and I think moving forward here, they got 2 games against McDaniel. They got Gettysburg next week. Yeah, not this weekend, but the next weekend. So obviously that'll be a huge matchup. But they got Muhlenberg this Saturday. I'm not sure how Muhlenberg fared in their first game this weekend, but
they lost 10-8 against F&M.
Okay, all right. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare there. But in this condensed season, it's really anything can go either way, as we've seen, with you guys as well, who, did struggle. Baseball did struggle in the first game with McDaniel, who you guys usually handle pretty easily. So, they're this early in the season, condensed season. It's really like anything can happen, as we've seen with March Madness thus far. Crazy. So I could see it being a crazy year as well for Centennial Conference play.
Yeah. Anything else to add, Sammy?
Yeah, I guess just the last thing is, both teams that are coming in, baseball and lacrosse are facing teams that, got shut out by the Diplomats. So got a high standard to, play up to after F&M, did their work in the first weekend. So Dickinson's got to keep their pace in both sports.
Yeah, well, we'll be taking care of that this weekend, and I'm sure lacrosse will be as well. We're gonna head into our interview with Brendan Pell, senior second baseman on the baseball team, and we'll see you soon.
Healthy, not boring. That's not just the motto of the Grazery, but is also their promise to you. Visit the Grazery today and indulge on fresh Mediterranean-inspired salads, sandwiches, and soups, among other great options on a menu that serves both breakfast and lunch. Eat in or take out, no reservation needed here. So hurry on down to 156 West High Street, just yards from the campus, and enjoy a fresh and feel healthy meal today.
All right, welcome back, Red Devil sports fans. Today we have a very special interview. Today we have a game time interview with senior second baseman Brendan Pell. We're going to be going over the McDaniel sweep from last week, and then also previewing the Johns Hopkins game for this weekend. Brendan, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing great. How about yourselves?
Just fantastic. So I'll kick us off. The first game against McDaniel yesterday on Saturday, we were down for a couple innings and then came back in the eighth. What do you think was the big turnaround moment for us?
I think for us personally, in my history here at Dickinson, we've never had a starting lineup that was that young, also that inexperienced. I think we only had 2 guys in the starting lineup that day that were regular starters ever before. So, I mean, have the team just getting their first real college starts. I think we had to get the nerves out a little bit and shake out like the cobwebs. I know for me, even personally, I had some nerves I had to get over being one of the 2 guys that were actually regular starters before. So really just easing into the game more and then getting used to it. I think took a little while, and that's why it took a while to really gain any momentum or get any kind of consistent good play out of anybody. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you mentioned just being a super young roster, super young team, and in particular, you being the only senior that had been on campus leading up to the season starting and the only senior eligible to play this past weekend. Obviously, the team's looking for you to step up in a leadership role. So, how has that been for you trying to rally the troops and get them ready, even when you weren't even sure you were having a season up until a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, so I mean, it was interesting. It was more just like calming the nerves of everybody. We had a lot of freshmen out there, like I said before, a lot of young guys. Just reminding everybody that it's still baseball, whether or not it's college baseball. I mean, everybody on the field is obviously a good player. So just like I said, calming the nerves. Like a lot of guys, you can tell often when inexperienced guys get into a game in any setting, they want to kind of go too fast and then not really like have their breath or their feet under them yet. So just calming everybody down, reminding them that this is just a game and just have fun. And it's not really that much different. It's just wearing red uniform now and playing college baseball. Guys are a little bit bigger now. That's about all the difference that there really is though.
Now, Pal, I kind of want to ask for everyone who doesn't or hasn't played baseball, what is the battle of a doubleheader like?
The battle of a doubleheader. It's different when you're 19 years old and when you're 23 years old. I can tell you that, Sammy. So they get long. They get very long. You definitely have to. It's a struggle to maintain your focus, as well as it's a struggle to maintain your hamstrings. It's so obviously right out the gate, inning 1 of game 1, you're pumped. You got a lot of energy, and then as the day goes on, you're probably 4, sometimes 5 hours into it, and you're only into the 6th inning of the second game. You do tend to lose focus and lose some energy. So just keeping in the back of your mind what the goal is at the end of the day, I think is anytime you lose one of those things, whether it be focus or energy, reminding yourselves that you have a goal to attain that day and that you need to win. Kind of is like your recharge throughout the day. So you just got to keep reminding yourself that, and then just being smart and, like I said, maintaining focus.
So through 2 games and seeing like our team do what we've done against McDaniel, what have you been most impressed with so far?
Like I said before, the young guys. In the first game, as we mentioned earlier, slow start is definitely one of the biggest hoops we had to jump through, and just seeing them. I think it was probably like the 6th or 7th inning of that first game. The young guys looked like they were veterans, just like that. And then carrying that over into the second game. I mean, the second game, it was a day and night difference. It was like we were 2 different teams, and then obviously we went ahead and won big in the second game. guys like Bubba, all the freshman pitchers. I mean, they look like veterans out there, and I think that's a big part of that was them playing loose and them reminding themselves that it was just baseball, and then to just go out there and play, and just seeing them have fun was another big part of it. I mean, when you're out there having fun, it doesn't matter who you're playing. You're going to play loose, and it's the best way to have success.
Not to start this question off on a negative note, but Dickinson baseball has been on a bit of a cold streak in terms of reaching the playoffs for the past couple of years, and so is Dickinson football. We're working on that. Two of our programs, we're working on that right now. But what do you think is going to be the contributing and key factors to getting you guys back to the postseason?
Really, the main thing is just not shooting ourselves in the foot. I mean, but like I said before, we have a very young and inexperienced roster, and with that, when you start to play the bigger teams, the best teams take advantage of your mistakes. So whether it be walks and making errors, especially, those are things we're really going to have to limit going forward. Just making sure we don't beat ourselves, and making sure if we do lose a game, it's because the other team won the game, not because we lost the game. So we had issues with that in the first game, in the games against McDaniel, pretty big, whether it was compounding walks and errors. Luckily, it didn't get too bad at any point. We were able to control the damage often. But yeah, that'll be a big thing, especially coming this week with Johns Hopkins. So they're a team who's had a lot of success in the past. A team who I've never beat here at Dickinson, although my sophomore year sophomore year would be a pretty good example of us shooting ourselves in the foot. I mean, we scored, I think my sophomore year we probably scored almost 30 runs in 2 games, and we lost. And it wasn't because of them beating us. It was because we had a bunch of walks, a bunch of errors, and then them being a good team, they took advantage of it. So this year, definitely just limiting walks and errors, and then just playing the way we play, and playing fast and playing aggressive.
Yeah, now, Pell, so I kind of want to ask what you saw from the guys on the mound this weekend, whether it be your starters or your closers. Who kind of impressed you, and how is that going to carry over after a pretty solid start and 2 victories in the first games?
Yeah, so the guys who impressed me the most were the young guys. I mean, we saw and transfer Matt Spend, he's a sophomore for us. But I mean, we saw Bo out there, and he did what Bo normally does, threw 1,000 miles an hour, and I think got out of his inning in 8 pitches. But the most impressive thing to me was the freshman, and all for the same reasons I mentioned before. Just going out there and acting like they were experienced players, just going out there throwing strikes, dominating, getting ahead in counts, and just not walking people, and then really compounding good at bat after good at bat at the plate. And so just the freshmen and their demeanor on the mound and how quickly they were able to get into the game and play baseball.
Yeah. So I guess you kind of already answered this a little bit before, but if you want to elaborate a little bit, what do you think are the keys to success this weekend against Hopkins? I don't know if you watched the F&M Hopkins doubleheader on this past Saturday or Sunday actually. But Hopkins lost both games to F&M. So what do you think is the key to success for us to beat them this weekend?
Yeah. So I mean, they lost both. They're obviously a very talented team, as you probably know, and after losing 2, I mean, they're going to be hungry. They're not going to want to lose another game for the rest of the season, let alone in the next game coming up. But the key to success for us will be, obviously, like I said before, not walking a lot of people and not making a lot of errors. But also, they're gonna come out and be aggressive. And I think the way we handle that will have a big effect on the results of the games. I know hitting, they like to swing early in the count. So I think things like pitching backwards and making sure we're not leaving anything out over the middle of the plate will be a big thing. Also, the field too, right? I mean, I've only ever played them at their place, and their field is one of the smallest fields I've ever seen at this age, and it's turf. So I mean, it's pretty easy to hit there. and it's definitely easy to field there. I mean, all the tops are so true with that turf. Playing at our place will be a lot different for them. Playing on a slow grass infield and playing on a field that has 100-mile-an-hour winds all the time and long fences. So I think if we were able to take advantage of that and kind of play our brand of baseball the way we know how at our field, I think using those advantages to our advantage will definitely have a key role for our success.
Yeah. So, Pell, my question for you right here is, going into this season, knowing that you have 6-7 weeks of doubleheaders, and prior you had the rest of your junior year taken away, and you weren't, just till a couple weeks ago, wasn't sure if you were going to even have your senior season. So what's your mindset been like, and how were you able to stay focused, kind of keep your eyes on the prize with that uncertainty, just over your head?
Really for me, it was just staying prepared at all times. Talking about getting ready for the season and not knowing whether or not we would have a season. Just knowing that it's better to be prepared and then hear that we don't have a season than be unprepared and then hear that we do have a season. So really that was just a no-brainer for me. And then also whether or not we had a season, this is my last season of baseball. So I mean, obviously playing baseball my entire life, I feel like I owed it to myself to be as prepared as possible for the season that would potentially come about. And then, as you asked, for the whole long season, just that same mentality. This is my last season of baseball. So any pressure that may amount, it's easier for me to just put aside and just say, this is my last season of baseball. So whatever happens. Obviously I want to win, and putting emphasis on winning has always been part of my game, and it's still part of my game now more than ever because this is my last chance to win.
Looks
like I can grow.
There you
go.
You cut out a little bit there.
Oh, sorry. Just what do you remember the last thing I said?
It was pretty early on in the question.
Yeah, wait, so Tom, can you remind me of the question then again? Kind of went on a rant.
Made it.
Yeah, it was just talking about your mindset and leading up to the season, and being a senior, knowing that it's your last year, being prepared.
Okay, yeah.
Being prepared, yeah.
Yeah, so so like I said, my last season ever, and then going into the season, not knowing whether or not we would have a season, I just thought to myself it'd be better to be prepared for a season rather than be unprepared and then not have a season. I'm sorry, it would be better to be prepared for a potential season than not be prepared and then having a season. So yeah, that was kind of my mentality. And then once we did finally learn we did have a season, just knowing that this is my last season, my last baseball season of my life. So I feel like I owe it to myself to go out there and play hard and just play loose and have fun, because I mean, it kind of, like I said, relieves all pressure, knowing that this is my last season, whatever happens, and obviously I want to win and I want to have fun. So yeah, it's kind of just been my mindset.
I kind of want to ask, yeah. So this schedule is completely different. Not only are you only playing conference opponents, but you have no weekday games unless there's going to be rain, cancellations, delays. So what's it like having the full week to prepare for an opponent?
Yeah, so I mean, I like it. I actually really like it because we could be a lot more organized. It's not like there's random games scattered out throughout our weeks. Obviously, I like to play as many games as possible, but with this format, it's very easy to schedule out I'm a very organized guy. I like to have things planned out, and with having games only on one day, we can kind of see the scope of our entire week at the beginning of our week. So we can map out practices, times, what we're going to do, which day, and there's no random game to be thrown in the middle of that to deal with. So I mean, at that point, it the only thing that can really, the only fork that really can be thrown around is things like injuries, which are going to happen. But luckily, not too many of them have happened so far. It's just a lot of practice, which I like, and more preparation, which I also like. So not too many complaints, but at the same time, I would like to play as many games as possible, with this being my last year.
I'm all good. I'm out of questions if you guys have some more.
No, I'm good.
Nope.
And just good luck against Johns Hopkins next weekend.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. And thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Appreciate you coming on.
No doubt.
No problem. All right, boys.
That's it. Complex is something no coach or athlete wants to deal with, which is why every team aims to keep schemes and execution simple so success is easy to achieve. That's the game plan used by the Grazery right here in Carlisle. Simple ingredients that are fresh, healthy, and above all delicious. Healthy, not boring food that is not just good, but good for you. Made from only the healthiest and simple ingredients. So come in today and enjoy a great meal made simple at the Grazery, located at 156 West High Street, Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
Alrighty. Welcome back, and big thank you to Brendan Pell for that interview. It was very insightful. And we're going to do a little bit of March Madness talk. We're going to talk about our own brackets. We're going to talk about upcoming games, the schedule. Sammy, I know you have the schedule pulled up, so why don't you take it away?
Yeah, I'll just kind of list off quickly what's going on this weekend so everyone, is aware of who's playing and everything. So we got, women's golf has a McDaniel Invitational that's supposed to start at 12 p.m. Baseball doubleheader, first game 12 o'clock. Men's tennis 12 o'clock against Johns Hopkins. Women's tennis Johns Hopkins as well against at 12 o'clock. Men's lacrosse Muhlenberg at 1 o'clock. And then baseball has their second game of the day at 3 o'clock, and that's kind of the day. That's the Saturday look ahead.
It's the Saturday look ahead for our Dickinson athletics this upcoming weekend. I think now we'll jump into the March Madness bit here, but tough year for my bracket. Gotta say, tough, very just awful. I have never had a bracket like this so far in my lifetime. I am at a currently 20%. With only 300 points. This is on the tournament challenge bracket. Three out of my four final four are no longer in it. My final four was Kansas and Michigan and Texas Tech and West Virginia, and Michigan is the only one still in it, and they are my pick to win it all. So my bracket has been busted since the first day. What are we thinking about the rest of the way here, guys?
Yeah, I had Iowa winning it all, so that's chalked. That's over and done with. And then I also had Oklahoma State in my Final Four. They're done. I do have Michigan and Baylor, who are my other two Final Four representatives. They're still alive, and I have Baylor in the final. But when the team you have winning loses in the round of 32, it's kind of tough to recover from that. I'm at about 41%. So I'm jumping on the must bus with Arkansas. Might as well. That's really just going to be who I'm rooting for the rest of the way. Since,
sure. Yeah.
The Hawkeyes are toast. So.
Yeah. I'm actually no one's bracket's doing well, but currently sitting at 95th percentile on my bracket. So, that's definitely something. I don't have a ton of points left on the board though. That's the problem. Do have Arkansas and Gonzaga left. So there's only two teams I really care about making it, since most of my even Elite Eight isn't in contention anymore. But I have 400 points. But definitely in the same boat as Dom, rooting for I'm either rooting for Arkansas or I'm going to need Loyola Chicago to win it. So
yeah, at this point, I don't really. Yeah,
if Oral Roberts wins it too, I'll be all right. If the 15 seed wins it, I'll allow it.
That'll be wild. They have some absolute shooters on their team. Like I've never seen an offense run like theirs before as a 15 seed. It's absolutely absurd.
And Buddy Boeheim is going to be the number 1 overall pick. Just recency bias. He's going to be the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, whatever you say, Sammy. I think at this point, I don't really care like who wins. Like it'd be great if Michigan won, obviously, just because I would say, oh yeah, like I picked Michigan, but my bracket's totally busted anyway, so I don't think it matters. So I guess I'll just root for Villanova and be done with it.
Root for madness.
Yeah,
More upsets, the better.
Or that, yeah. Whoever's bracket is worse than mine that's always better for me, I guess. So I'll be rooting for most of the upsets in Villanova and Michigan. So that's all. That's really all I got. Just because this year is just a total wash, But it's been great basketball to watch. Great basketball.
I mean, I just love. I mean, the more upset, even though I'd rather have a perfect bracket, like the more upsets, the better. Like, just makes it more interesting, more exciting. Like, and it gets these other schools exposure. Like, I also think this is also a message for football. They need to figure out their playoffs so it's not the same 4 teams every single season, because this is way too fun. Like, the college basketball and the NCAA tournament is an absolute blast. You don't need to have Alabama play Clemson in the championship every game.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. So I guess that'll wrap it up for this episode here, brought to you by the Grazery. Another thank you to Brendan Pell, and a special thank you to Justin. He's been working his butt off with all these games that are coming up and stuff like that, and editing our own podcast as well. So thank you, and until next week, and good luck to all those teams this weekend, including my own in lacrosse. So roll Dabs.